Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Calling All Creatures. As a lot of you already know, I am your host, Lori, and tonight we are going to be talking about Happy Feline Homes. I have Jennifer Catpurr on here with me, and she is a cat behavior consultant. So she is going to give us, hopefully, all sorts of words of wisdom and good advice and tips about how you guys can hopefully make your homes a little bit happier for your kitty cats, because sometimes kitties have issues, and so we want to try to keep them as happy as we can. So, Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the podcast tonight and talking with me about this. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Hi, Lori. I am glad to be here, and thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah. I love talking about all sorts of different animals, and I haven't talked to anybody about cats, I don't think, in a little while. So I thought it was about time, and then I saw your talk that you did for blog posts and stuff like that, and it was really interesting. So I thought, well, let's get you on here and let's talk. So,
heck yeah.
So why don't you just go ahead and start by telling us a little bit more about yourself and how you became a cat behavior consultant.
Sure. Well, it started in 2011 when I discovered that cat behavior consultants existed. And as someone who always loved cats, this was a dream job for me. So I looked up the best books to read, and the more I studied, the more I learned how misunderstood cats are. So many of their behavior problems aren't really problems at all. They're cats trying to cope with an environment that doesn't meet their needs. Cats are incredibly sensitive, intentional creatures, and their behavior is subtle. So because of that, their needs often go unnoticed. And I felt, and I still feel, a large responsibility to advocate for them, to make sure their emotional world is seen and supported. So I plugged myself into cat behavior consulting groups, found a local mentor, started taking free clients, and finally, when I felt ready, in 2013, Jennifer Catpurr was born.
Awesome. So that's cool that you were able to get into groups and get a mentor and stuff like that to kind of help, get you going in this field. A while back, I had a gentleman on that, and it was funny because I never really thought about training cats. I train dogs as a side job and stuff, service dogs and basic, training, stuff like that. But I never really thought about training cats because they're such independent creatures. Yes, they'll walk on a leash outside and stuff like that, but I never thought about actual training. And this gentleman from the UK does cat training. So it was very interesting to kind of hear some of the things that he had to say about training kitties.
Oh, yeah. I love a fellow cat trainer, and I love telling people about things like that, that cats are trainable as long as you are making it within their best interest. Cats want to do what's in their best interest. So if that's, performing XYZ behavior for a reward, then they're generally going to do that with enough repetition. So
that is true. Awesome. Yeah, kind of like dogs. They'll learn how to do it too. With enough repetition and rewards and stuff like that. So, but exactly. It was just funny. I had never thought about training cats, I guess. So,
there you go. Your world has been opened.
Yes, it was. It was a very interesting. And he was also he wrote books and stuff like that and poetry. Oh. And so he actually had a poem he had written about a cat, and he recited it for us. It was very interesting. It was very good podcast. I loved it. So.
I love that. Yeah. I just feel like not enough people write cat poetry or songs about their cats.
I know.
When my cat Whiskey passed away in April, I was searching, I was just trying to find comfort music, and I was searching for songs about cats. Just deep love of cats. Or, your own cat. And I really couldn't find much. You can find cutesy songs, but where are the songs that talk about just being completely in love with your cat? Because that's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yeah, totally. And if, I could sing, I would create some songs.
You could always just write them and then have someone else sing them.
There you go. All right. I gotta I got to think about that further.
Yeah, I mean, you could write them. I'm sure there's people out there. It's funny because I know you followed me on Instagram, and I don't know if you actually clicked on the Instagram post because I found a song about cats, and it was it was cute and it was kind of funny, and it's a gentleman and he's just singing away about his cat, and the cat has the toys, and then it was really 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 a neat little song. When I was listening to it, I was like, I didn't even know this was out there.
Yeah, I need to check that out. I really do. So Spotify just had their what do you call it? Their Spotify Wrapped come out, right? Yesterday. And my top artist on Spotify Wrapped is an artist called Catlofe, Catlofe.
Oh, geez.
And yeah, this is like a lo-fi chill instrumental, but his name is Mike. It's a solo individual. And all of his songs are cat themed and provide just a feeling of being with a cat. Like, I think he has a song that's called Napping in the Sun by a Window, something like that. It's just like everything cat themed, and it's really lovely. I mean, that was the greatest cat comfort music that I could find out there. But I'll definitely look at your Instagram again and look for that song.
Yeah, like I said, if you just click on the little announcement flyer thing, it should start playing, and I think it'll put the name of the song and the artist up there. I'm not sure exactly on that one, but I think it does. But yeah, I know what you mean about the instrumental stuff, though, because as I was trying to find, this something for the Instagram post, I was just like, everything was more instrumental, and then I came across that one, and words and everything, and it was really kind of more upbeat, and I just really liked that over the instrumental stuff. So
that's cool. Well, it sounds like a fun song.
Yeah, it is. It was really kind of cool. I listened to a couple other ones. I'm like, I'm going to stick with this one because this one just fits better,
Yeah,
and
that.
It's funny now that we're kind of talking about music. Like I, said, sometimes I think about these things because I did animal control, and in the shelter environment, obviously you have cats, and they're in kennels and stuff like that, and a lot of times these kennels are not the biggest things for cats, but for like the dogs and stuff, we used to play music to help kind of keep the dogs quieter and more calm and a little bit less stress free. Does that work for kitties too?
So it depends on the cat, but if there is otherwise a noisy environment or a disruptive environment that could alert the cat to outside sounds that could be stressful, it could be nice to play calming music over an environment that might be a little disruptive for a cat. But it really, like I said, it really does depend on the cat. So some cats respond well to that, and other cats just prefer some peace and quiet, or prefer to hear whatever might be going on around the house.
Yeah. I was just curious because unfortunately the shelter that I managed, it was very small, and the cat room was in the back of the shelter in a small room that was after you went through the dog kennel area. So the poor cats had to listen to all the barking and all the noise the dogs made. They have changed it now, thank goodness. I tried to get them to understand, that we should see if we couldn't build something, different and for the cats that would just have the cats and no dog stuff. And at that point in time, they weren't willing to do stuff. But from what I'm understanding, they have at this point now done something like that. And now the cats have their own like little building so that they're not in with the dogs.
Good. That's important. And I'm sure that's going to, or that does help them a lot with de-stressing.
I'm sure it does. Yeah, because I know that, some other shelters that do that to keep the cats completely separated from the dogs. And the cats seem to be a little bit calmer, in those environments over. I mean, it's already stressful enough being in a shelter, let alone having to listen to a bunch of dogs that are barking, and especially when people come in and the dogs all started going off, So, yeah, I'm sure they like it a lot better.
Right. I mean, that would drive me crazy living there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like hearing a bunch of dogs all the time. Not that, I like dogs. Dogs are great, but come on,
Yeah.
Lots of dogs at once can be a bit much.
Yeah, especially when all the, you got 22 kennels and they're all full. Yeah, it can be a bit much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did my best to try to keep the dogs stress-free and quieter. And when people weren't in there, it was amazing. People would walk in the office and they'd be like, do you even have any dogs up for? I'm like, oh, yeah, the kennels are full back there. Oh, well, none of them are making any noise. And I'm like, well, yeah, because I've got music playing. They're all calm. They're all nice. They stay pretty quiet until you walk back there. And then they're going to start to, make noise because they see you and they want attention. So yeah.
Well, that's great that you really work to keep a calm environment for them. That's awesome.
Yeah, shelters do what they can with what they've got. So, we try. It's sometimes hard, but we do try.
Good. I love that. Definitely appreciate that.
So, what inspired you to focus on improving cats' living environments?
Well, what keeps me passionate about focusing on their environment is really how transformative it is. When a cat finally feels safe, when they have places to retreat, ways to play, control over their world, you can see them relax, open up, and really rediscover joy. It's like watching their personality bloom after being compressed for too long. And the beautiful thing is that the change doesn't stop with the cat. When a cat becomes calmer, more confident, and more connected, humans feel it too. People understand their cats better, relationships deepen, and daily life becomes smoother and more harmonious. So improving a cat's environment is really improving the entire home environment, and I love being a part of that shift.
That's good. I used to, I had cats at one point, well, a cat. I've had different cats over the years when I was younger, but the first one that I ever had was a big black cat, and called him, of course, his name had to be Panther, but
Cute. Love it.
he was such an awesome cat. I loved it. I'm a more of a dog person myself, but I do like cats, and he was awesome. He used to just crack me up. I mean, he had his things, his little quirks or whatever, but he was just one of the best kitty cats that I had ever had. So I was glad I got to have a chance of having him. So.
Oh, heck yeah. And there's something really special about black cats, too. My cat that I referenced who passed, Whiskey, was just, he changed my life. And he had such an amazing personality. And he was so smart, so loving, and just, always there when I needed him. Mm-hmm. Which, that was incredibly beautiful and important to me. So yeah. I gotta shout out to my Whiskey.
Yeah. I know a funny story with mine. He, the gentleman I was dating at the time, we were living in a little apartment, and can't remember what was going on. We weren't fighting, but we were having an argument about something, a disagreement. And I was laying on their couch, and he was sitting in the chair. And Panther had been, I don't know if he was on the couch or chair, wherever he was at, but while we're having this disagreement, he comes out and he jumps up on my boyfriend's lap, literally walks right up onto his chest, and then smacked him right across the face with his paw. I mean, no claws or anything, of course, but smacked him right across the face with his paw, and then jumped down and came over and laid on top of me. And I was just, at that point, the argument was over, but I was just cracking up. I said, see, my cat is my protector, and he will let you know.
Heck yeah. He has your back at all times, and that's fantastic. That's
it was awesome. I had never seen a cat do that, but it was like he understood. We were having this disagreement, and he let my boyfriend know, no, you're not going to talk to Mom that way.
Yeah, you better step back, bro.
Yep, exactly. It was too funny. I gotta admit, we were both laughing about it after it was over, but it was so funny. Gotta love him.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, like I said,
what an awesome cat.
He was such an awesome cat. Him and his brother. He had a brother, and my brother actually had his brother, and I swear those two we lived at my mom's at that point, and we were in the country, and my mom wasn't big on having any cats or dogs in the house except for her little dogs that she had. But so they were kind of indoor, outdoor, And so they would go out, and those two would go hunt together. And I swear I would find fur in the garage, and I'd be like, I think that looks like raccoon fur. Do not tell me these two cats took a raccoon down. Are you kidding me? I can't say for sure, but that's what it looked like. So.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah. It was interesting to have those two boys around.
Yeah. Rascally boys.
I'm telling you.
I'm sure they were lots of fun.
Oh, yeah, they were. So what do you think cat owners misunderstand the most about creating a truly cat-friendly home?
Well, that's such a great question, and most people don't realize how much their cat's behavior is shaped by their environment. So we tend to think that cats are low maintenance, right? Food, water, litter box, done. But cats are actually tiny control enthusiasts. They need choices. Right? They need safe spaces. They need routine. So, for example, when a cat is scratching the couch or hissing at the other cat in the home or not using the litter box, they're not being difficult. They're expressing stress or telling us something in their language. And a truly cat-friendly home is less about buying fancy things and more about giving cats ways to be cats, like hiding, climbing, scratching, stalking, napping, and then repeating that process over every day.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny because I know, people watch TV all the time and they see, obviously, like, if you're watching nature things, you see the big cats like the lions and stuff like that. And, all the different things that lions and tigers and cheetahs and all of them do. Your little cats do, your small cats, your house cats do the same thing. It's just amazing how people don't kind of equate. And then if they see the bigger cats like playing with balls or even big cardboard boxes or whatever, then they're amazed that these big cats are doing the same thing that their house cat is doing. And it's like, well, they're kind of,
cats.
Yeah, one's just bigger than the other one.
Right, yes. So, absolutely. There's, kind of reminds me, just speaking of big cats, there's this Instagram that I'm a little obsessed with about this man in Africa who, I think he's in South Africa, not positive on that, but at any rate, so he has raised this lioness from a cub. She was orphaned, and she's 13 now, and he has the most beautiful relationship with her, and you watch her, and just so much of it, looks like a giant house cat, just rubbing on her human and adoring him, jumping on him, which is a lot when the lion jumps on you, but he handles it well. And it's so gorgeous. If you all, I guess I'll shout out this Instagram. If you look up Sirga, Sirga, you can find really cool videos of her and her human. So.
Have you ever seen the movie Elsa about the lioness? That was kind of the same.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is going to tell my age, but this movie probably came out in, I'm going to say maybe the 70s, early 70s possibly. But it's about Elsa the lioness and kind of the same situation. She was orphaned as a cub, and I can't remember. I think it was a gentleman and that raised her as well. But once she got older, they didn't want to. They wanted her to go back to be in her wild, habitat, and actually live like a lioness. So even though he had raised her and everything, he kind of had her out there, and she learned literally how to kind of be more of a lioness. But she would do a lot of the same things that you're talking about. She would rub on him and jump up on him and stuff, and even after she had gone back into the wild, and I can't remember if she had her own cubs or not. I want to say she did, because like I said, this was a while back when I watched this. And even when he would come out, she would still recognize him and come up and greet him and rub on him and stuff. So yeah, it's a really interesting movie. But like I said, it was probably in the early 70s. But if you I don't know if you can still even find it to watch it at this point. But yeah, it was about Elsa, the lioness. So
Elsa. Okay, I need to look up Elsa. I think around that time frame there was also Christian the lion.
Mm.
I don't know if that's familiar to you, but I just remember seeing video of this man who had raised this lion from a cub and then sent him to, I don't know if it was a reserve or what it was in the wild, or semi-wild, but then he hadn't seen his lion, Christian, for many years, and then he came back to see him, and Christian remembered him and, was so excited, greeting him. And, he's a huge lion.
Mm-hmm.
But, with his human, he just became this little house cat, which is so incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. I can't remember if I've heard about, I want to say I think I did hear about Christian. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how some of these animals, I know, they've done the same thing. Someone did that with an elephant, and it's kind of the same thing. But, it's so interesting to see how these animals, even after a good period of time, will remember. And, yeah, not to, attack or anything, just come up and love on them. And, yeah, it's really cool that they remember that stuff. So.
Right, yeah. If you're bonded and they know you're safe, you are their person, and it is really incredible. Animals are smarter and more emotional than generally humans give them credit for. So
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what the essential elements are that every cat should probably have in their home to help them feel secure and enriched.
Oh, absolutely. So I talk about what I call the 5 foundations, which are non-negotiables for cat well-being. So first would be safety and security zones. Cats need places where they can truly relax, like cozy hiding spots, covered beds, quiet corners. If a cat doesn't have somewhere to retreat to, they're basically living emotionally barefoot on hot pavement. So safety creates confidence, and that's important. And then there's vertical territory, keeping in mind that any height is good height. So shelves, cat trees, top of the fridge, whatever works for your cat in particular. Cats feel safer when they can observe the world from above, like the benevolent overlords that we know they are.
Yep.
So then there's scratching stations, understanding that scratching isn't bad behavior. It's nail care, stress relief, and territory marking all in one. So cats need tall, sturdy posts, and also horizontal posts, and different textures depending on their preference, like carpet, sisal, and cardboard. And then there's hunting and play opportunities, which are very important. So cats are designed to hunt, catch, kill, and eat. So daily playtime is essential. And it doesn't have to be long. Just short, focused sessions where they get to stalk, pounce, win, and then have a little post-hunt snack. So then, finally, the 5th one would be predictable human interaction with choice. Cats love routine, as I mentioned, and they also love choosing when and how they interact. When we let them initiate and give them predictable rhythms, trust builds. Enforced petting is, as cute as they are, and as much as we might want to pet them at any given moment, forced petting is a fast track to mutual resentment. So if these 5 needs are met, everything else gets easier. Behavior, confidence, relationships with other cats, and the whole emotional ecosystem improves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then really your home environment does really kind of influence your cat's behavior, like, the scratching or the acting out, or even if they're having litter box issues. If there's things going on in the environment that's upsetting the cat, then it can lead to all of these kind of, as you said, bad behaviors.
Right. So outside of physical issues that would be ruled out by a vet,
Right.
almost everything behavioral is actually environmental. So if a cat scratches the couch, it often means, hey, your couch is in the perfect location for me to do, say, my morning scratching. But there's no appropriate post here, so the couch it is. And then acting out is usually stress. So, maybe it's a conflict with another cat, noise, too little territory. The root is the environment. And then, thinking about litter box issues. Litter box issues are usually the cat saying, this bathroom situation is not meeting my standards, and I am filing a formal complaint on your bed. So, once you shift the environment to support their needs, the problems often fade or disappear.
Right. So, some of the home environmental things that could influence some behavior in cats is, like you said, if you have a multiple cat household, would it also be safe to say, like, say, if you have, like, maybe younger children running around that are, very noisy, because, like you said, a lot of cats do like to have quiet time where they can just kind of de-stress and relax. Different maybe odors and stuff like that in the house, because I know, a lot of people have, like, the essential oils, which I know some of those are not good for cats. And that was kind of something too in the shelter when we were cleaning. We had to make sure, with some of the stuff that we used for cleaning, because it was not good for cats to breathe that kind of stuff in. So are those some of the kind of environmental behaviors that could cause some of this acting out and say maybe scratching and things like that?
So could you are you I'm sorry, I'm just trying to follow your question. Could you sum up your question? Because I feel like you were talking about kids running around, and yes, that can absolutely affect cats and stress them out. Especially if the child isn't taught to respect a cat's boundaries. Scent. You generally want to avoid essential oils, right? Like you mentioned, some of them can be toxic to cats. They can smell great to us. Cats usually are like no bueno. Scent enrichment can be great, but that would be things like catnip, silvervine, things that cats really like things that are comforting to cats and they enjoy, which often is something that we don't necessarily find too enticing to smell. But cats are all about it.
Yeah, and that's your question. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. Was what some of the home environmental influences might be that could affect your cat's behavior in the home. So. So you answered the question perfectly.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be so confusing on that one.
Oh, no, it is all good. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Good.
So, and I was going to ask, obviously, some simple, affordable enrichment ideas that owners could, easily implement in their homes. I know some people... like you had mentioned, scratching posts and then, shelves or something where the cat can be up a high, get up on to where they're up above and stuff like that to kind of, like you said, look down on their kingdom that they're ruling.
Yeah.
And I know some people actually go to, will build catteries and things like that so their cats can go outside. So are these some of the more simple, affordable enrichment ideas that people could implement in the homes for the cats to help give them, some more, I don't want to say stimulation, but I guess enrichment and things like that?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, enrichment doesn't mean buying a ton of toys. Some of the best things are almost free. So think about, empty boxes. Cats, I mean, a box is known as a cat trap because they just love hanging out in boxes generally. So that's instant, enticing real estate. Paper bags. They love the crinkle and the mystery, and that can bring them joy. DIY puzzle feeders from things like toilet paper rolls, egg cartons, muffin tins. I have a YouTube video on DIY puzzle feeders as a little side note, a little drop there. And things like a chair by a window. Cats love a good cat flicks session, looking out the window. You can rotate toys. I really recommend this to pretty much all of my clients. Rotating toys instead of leaving them out. So novelty is enrichment, right? Humans get tired of their toys, so do cats. So we want to keep things interesting. And then, like I mentioned, the set enrichment, catnip, silver vine. You could swap blankets between rooms, grow some cat grass. There was a viral trend fairly recently where people were buying paver stones and bringing them inside for their cats, and the cats like to hang out on the paver stones. And doing that, or even with cat grass too, what I like to do is I like to put whatever it is out overnight to kind of charge it up with scent and make the scent really interesting with outside scents, and then I'll bring it back in, and then it's really enticing and interesting, extra enticing for a cat, because now it's got all these really unique outside scents for them to enjoy. So, most cats don't want fancy, they just want interesting.
Right. I mean, I knew about the box thing and everything like that, and paper bags. Because, I had cats. I know they love that stuff. I had one that used to zoom around the room as fast as she could run. And we had, at that point in time, and back in the day, you had the big tall speakers with your stereo system, and she would go flying and hit like the top of a stereo speaker, and then she'd go flying across. She looked like Super Kitty.
The zoomies. You gotta love the zoomies.
Yeah. Okay, and I have to ask, paver stones? Why paver stones? I'm just curious. I'm sure other people are. What is it that cats like about paver stones?
I don't even know how somebody discovered this. I can't tell you for sure. My thoughts are they could like the cool feel of the stone, and something about the scent of the concrete mix. It is very interesting. So I can't tell you a definite science behind cats liking paver stones, and they don't all like the paver stones, but if you look it up on TikTok, you can find a whole bunch of cats with paver stones inside their house.
That's so interesting. I never would have thought about a paver stone.
Oh, me neither. Yeah.
I mean, I would think
love the creativity.
I would think maybe if it was sitting somewhere, and I would have thought for a heat thing, if it was sitting, because I know cats like to, lay in the window, lay in the sun, and, kind of soak it up sometimes. And I was saying, well, maybe if the paver stone was warm, they might, maybe that's why, but if they like the coolness too. So I guess that wouldn't be the reason. So, yeah, that's interesting. Paver stones. I've never heard that. That's funny.
Well, there you go. It's something to Google. So look that up. Check it out.
I guess so. All you guys out there listening, look up paver stones for kitties.
Yeah.
You never know.
Your best friend.
Exactly. You just never know.
Right?
Oh, that's too funny. Oh, my gosh.
Indeed.
Okay, and so for our people out there that may be renters or kind of live in a smaller space, what would be some of your go-to advice for trying to help make their place a little more feline friendly?
Yeah, so go vertical, go modular. Think about micro territories in your home. You don't necessarily need to drill into walls to give your cat height. You could just get freestanding cat trees, tension-mounted shelves, or window perches, which work wonders. And even tiny spaces can offer variety. So think about a cozy nook in the bedroom, a lookout spot in the living room, a quiet corner that's, say, the cat's office. It's all about making the space feel bigger through pathways and choices.
That is true. That's true. I mean, and cats like to have those choices too. I mean,
they do.
Little independent furry things. They're just so. It's amazing how independent cats are over dogs. I mean, dogs can be independent, but not as much as cats, I don't think. I mean, yes, cats like to have attention. Cats like to be around their humans, but it just seems to me that they act more independent than a dog does. So
they're different personalities, but they definitely love and need their people very much. I mean, I have a lot of cat clients who are highly attached to their humans to the point of having to manage that.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And some cats, I mean, only like their human too. I mean, one of my good friends, she has a cat, and her cat, anytime anybody comes over, likes to run and hide because she doesn't like to be around strangers and stuff like that. But she loves her human. It's just she doesn't really care for other people all that much, so she'll hide. So,
yeah.
I mean,
when the human proves themselves as safe, then that's their safe person, and everyone else might not be safe based on their lack of socialization as a kitten or some kind of unfortunate abuse situation. There are a lot of variables that especially could happen as a kitten that shape their world for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously as a dog trainer, we know dogs go through different phases and have their lives shaped for them as puppies and stuff. So yeah, I would imagine it would be the exact same things, when it comes to the cats as well. It just all depends on what their history is. And I mean, when you're adopting a cat from a shelter, a lot of times you don't have a backstory, like with the dogs and stuff too. You don't have backstories on the animals. You don't know what they've went through. You don't know, what kind of home they were in or maybe not in, or, things like that. So it's really interesting. And I had a very good friend that helped at the shelter. She was the cat person for me. She had cats, a lot of cats, and I did dogs, she did cats. And I'll tell you, we would get in feral kittens, and we would work on getting them tamed. I guess the word I'm going to say is tamed, down to where they would get to where they were good with people and things like that, so we could get them adopted out. We could usually do that if they were between I want to say 2 to 5 months old is where we had more success with doing it. Once they got 5, after the 5-6 month mark, it was a little harder to try to get them, especially in the time frame you have in a shelter, which a lot of times isn't long. But we did the best we could for some of the kittens that we got in that were not very human friendly when they came into us, but a lot of them found good homes after we worked with them and stuff like that. So
that's wonderful you did that, and that really made a difference in their lives. I appreciate them.
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, and like I said, in personalities and stuff, I can't even tell you some of the cats that we would have come in and the personalities in them. You like all the animals, but you do get your favorites, and I had my favorites over the years. So,
I'm sure, and you never forget them.
No, you don't. But anyway, so it's really cool if people can help their kitties to have a better lifestyle and live, and have the things that helps enrich them in their homes and stuff. Even if you're in a small apartment or a small space or something like that, you can still do things to help your kitties. So,
absolutely.
So a question for people that have multiple cats: what are some of the common challenges that they may see, and how can they help create more harmony in a multiple cat household?
Sure. So the biggest issue is usually a resource competition, whether humans notice it or not. When cats feel they need to guard food, litter boxes, walkways, or their human, tension brews. Helpful supports for harmony are duplicating all key resources in multiple areas. So, we don't want to concentrate litter boxes in one area. We don't want to concentrate food in one area, things like that. Creating escape routes and vertical highways. supporting positive interaction through parallel play, set work, and routines. And, just understanding positive reinforcement of desired behaviors can really help. So, if, say, you have tension between two cats and one is normally quite aggressive acting towards the other, you can reward that cat for neutral or positive behavior around the other cat. Or like if the other cat tends to run away, you can reward the other cat for confident behavior around that cat. And also pay attention to subtle cues like staring, blocking, following, because they're often signs that things need to be adjusted before a swat ever happens.
Okay. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, they do give you some, like you said, cue before they're gonna, act or do something like that. So yeah, you just, that's the thing. A lot of people aren't watching or aware or noticing these kinds of things. So it's always good to keep an eye out and see what's kind of going on. So.
Oh yeah, and just the subtlety can be incredible, because I'll just give you another example. Cats can sit in doorways and they can look innocent on the surface. Oh, I'm just so cute, just laying in this doorway, look at me, I'm adorable. But it can be passive aggressive because they can actually be blocking the doorway, so another cat can't pass. And we want to avoid that.
Yeah, that would. I guess I wouldn't think about it if the cat was sitting in the doorway, even if I had a multiple cat household, that's what they might be doing, blocking the other cat from being able to go through. I probably wouldn't think about that kind of thing.
Right. Most people don't. So it's important to be aware of it.
Yeah, because like you said, you'd be looking at the cat. Oh, look, it's just being all cute and wonderful over there. And
yes, my perfect angel.
Yeah, no, not really. He's terrorizing the other cat. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I would never think about that, I guess. I would have been like everybody else. Yeah, look, it's really cute and adorable.
Right. It's the cutest thing ever. And then you're just playing into the cat's hands. So
yeah. Well, and then of course they look at you with those little big old eyes, and yeah, look, I am cute and adorable.
Oh, you are, dang it!
It's like, here, let me fool you.
Right. Yep.
Oh, that's so funny. So let's talk a little bit too about what some of the common household hazards could be for cats that cat owners may overlook.
Okay, so let's think. Common household hazards. Well, a few that may surprise people are things like lily plants. Those are very toxic to cats. String-like items, hair ties, ribbons, floss. Cats can swallow them like spaghetti. They can get caught up in their intestines, and then that can equal surgery. Open windows without secure screens. Cats can sneakily try to pop right out of there, or they can even, tear through the screen. Human medication or cleaning products left out. Cats are nosy, and even if something might not seem to be tasty, you just it's better to be safe, put things away. Recliners. Cats love to hide inside the reclining mechanism, and that can not end well if you don't realize they're in there. But most hazards are easy fixes once you know what to look for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew, like I said, because of the shelter, I knew a little bit about the cleaning, supplies and stuff, because I think the pine sol isn't good for them.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So, guys, if you have pine sol and cats, it's probably not a good thing to have, around where you're, because the smelling, it's toxic and stuff to them, so it's not good for them. So, you may want to think about something other than like pine sol.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
So, do you happen to have a favorite success story or transformation that you've helped with your behavior consulting?
I do. I would love to tell you about it. One of my all-time favorite cases was a client this year. The cat was named BB. And an amazing woman rescued BB at the county shelter in my hometown of Tampa. At the shelter, BB was exhibiting shutdown behavior, staying frozen in place for the vast majority of the day, and she was easily startled. So she, the doctor was Maggie, or is Maggie, and Maggie felt awful for her. She was in danger of being euthanized, and she really wanted to give her a chance. So she adopted her, brought her home, and created this really nice safe room for her. But she exhibited very similar behavior in Maggie's home. She was it's as if she was saying, "I will vanish into thin air if you even think about looking at me." Level of fearful. She spent her days in her safe room, but she was frozen still in a pillow fort on the bed, and she avoided all touch and only came out at night when her new mom was sleeping. So 6 weeks after saving her, there had been no progress with her frozen behavior, and Maggie reached out to me for an in-home consultation. Now, I am Denver based, however, Tampa is my hometown, and I come back every year. So whenever I come back, I see clients in Tampa in home. And I just happened to be back in Tampa last August, so it was the perfect timing for me to go to Maggie's home and meet BB in person. She desperately wanted to connect with BB, but also didn't want to push her, and that's totally understandable. That combination of love and uncertainty is actually what brings a lot of people to me. With BB, the work was very slow, very gentle, and completely on her terms. We worked on predictable routines so she could feel some control, and we focused a lot on low-pressure, consent-based interaction, such as sitting nearby her without expectation, offering her favorite treats, spending time with her at night when she was most comfortable, blinking slowly instead of staring, and generally just letting BB decide when to engage. So Maggie worried that BB would always feel miserable and wondered if she'd made a mistake. And, she has such a lovely heart, and I really felt for her. But I encouraged her, this is going to take some time, but let's keep going. BB is worth it. And once we got around the 2-month mark, the shift was incredible. Because BB went from frozen in her pillow fort to cautiously approaching Maggie to take treats directly out of her hand. And directly out of her hand was a huge deal. She sent me a photo, and I was so delighted to see it. And I know that she felt amazing about that breakthrough at that point. So then about a month later, which was last month, she started accepting gentle face and head petting. So that was in, specific zones on her face and her head. But it was pretty incredible to know that we went from this absolutely frozen, don't touch me, shut down cat to, oh, hey, I'll take treats out of your hand, and, oh yeah, you can pet me, it's okay, because eventually she began seeking out affection, greeting Maggie, and just relaxing in shared spaces instead of staying tucked away. So it was such a powerful reminder that fearful cats aren't broken. They deserve comfortable lives. They're just waiting for the world to become safe for them, and then they'll show you who they really are. So watching BB transform from trusting or no, from terrified to trusting was a beautiful experience of my career.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. I'm so glad that Maggie gave her a chance and reached out to you for help, and you guys were able to get BB to come around and give her a wonderful life and ending to her story. So that's wonderful.
Yes. Thank you. I was just so honored to be a part of it. It was really awesome.
And, and that goes for a lot of animals. I mean, not just cats, dogs, horses, birds. Same thing. You just never know in these backgrounds. And these animals could be really traumatized from things. And if you have the patience, and, you can keep working with them, eventually, there is a turnaround for a whole lot of these animals. In fact, I used to have a lot of dogs. I'm down to one dog, and she is, I don't know, around 16 to 17 years now. And she came into the shelter that I managed when she was, didn't really know how old she was, but I was guessing around no less than a year, probably closer to 2. So I'm not real sure about the age, but I'm figuring 16 to 17 years now. But she was like that. She's probably one of the only dogs that I actually believe probably had some abuse in her background. When she came into me, the people that brought her in had found her. She had done okay with them, but she doesn't like, and I hate to say this, she doesn't really like cats. And
no,
I know she doesn't like cats, but and that was why she came to me, because they had some cats, and she went after the cat, and it was like, okay, she's got to go. So I had her at the shelter, and they put her in the kennel, and after that, she wouldn't have anything to do with me. I couldn't even go in the kennel because it was, one of those things of the growling and blah, 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 and so I, for about a good week, would sit outside her kennel when I had time, and talk to her, and throw some treats and stuff in there. And unfortunately, like I said, in the shelter, you get to the point where you're full, and then unfortunately, sometimes you have to make really hard and horrible decisions. And it was getting to that point. And so I'm sitting there the one day, and I had the Caranda dog beds for the kennels for the winter time, so the dogs weren't on the cement floor with the cold. And so I was sitting there, and I was talking to her, and I had gotten to the point she would let me come in the kennel with her, but she would be right in the corner and facing away from me, and still growling. And so I'm in there sitting towards probably just a little bit more than a week, and I say to her, I had named her Misty. I said, I'm running out of space, Misty. The kennels are full, and unfortunately, with the way you are at this point, I'm going to have to make a decision, because I'm obviously not going to be able to adopt you to anybody with this going on. And I said, but, if you just will let me, this is so funny. I said, if you would just let me pet you, and, and then we could, that would give me, some hope, and we could go on. And I'll be darned if she did not come over and let me pet her.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and so she stayed, and I worked with her some more, and she came around, and then it came to my boss at the time, our police chief. There was something that happened with, I'm not even going to go into the whole story because it's long and it's kind of crazy. But anyway, the police chief basically gave me the ultimatum of getting her out of the shelter or putting her down. And I was not about to put her down, so I got her out of the shelter, and she became my dog. Yeah, she came home with me, and I've had her ever since. So I've had her for about 12 years, going on 13. And she has been, and I know everybody says this, but this dog, for never having any real training in the background she came from, has been one of the best dogs that I have owned. She has been great with my kids, my grandkids, and she just loves everybody. And so she literally, that's what I mean. Any animal, once you give them the time and the patience and the love and you positive reinforcement, that is the kinds of turnarounds like with BB that you can accomplish. So,
yes,
absolutely.
You didn't give up.
Nope.
I mean, you gave the ultimatum, but it was incredible how it just, worked out and you got a response.
Yeah, it was like she understood exactly what I was telling her, and she was like, well, okay, if that's what it's going to come to. I was amazed myself. I'm just like, holy crap. So yeah, but like I said, she's been my duck, and I love her. She's the last one I have now. I had like 7 at one time. So, but she's my last girl that's still here with me, and I know we're coming to the end, unfortunately. And I see it, but it's like with everything, and you can't live forever. And I'm just wanting to get through the holidays because I lost my last dog. I just lost him in June, kind of like you lost your whiskey in April.
Sorry.
So I just want to get through the holidays. So,
well, I certainly hope you do.
I do too.
Yeah.
So anyway, with all of that being said, and your wonderful story, we are kind of at the end of our podcast here and our talk, and it's been wonderful having you on and getting all of these awesome tips for, the cat owners out there, and hopefully some of the advice and tips that you gave tonight will help some of these people that might be having problems or problem behavior with their cats, and now they're going, oh, okay, well, maybe we can solve this by doing these things. And again, like with litter box issues, yes, definitely, talk with the vet, make sure there's nothing physical going on with the cat. But if you can't find anything physical, then maybe you need to start looking into some of the stuff that, Jennifer was talking about tonight and what might be causing some of these, behaviors. So,
right. Yeah, let's look at physical first.
Yep. And with that being said, if you don't mind, if you would like to give out some information where listeners could find your website or contact you and learn more about your work and what you do, that'd be great if you want to throw that out there.
Absolutely. You can find me at jennifercatpurr.com on YouTube and Instagram. And if anyone would like to see photos of BB and hear more of her story, I will post it on my Instagram shortly. So thank you. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, Lori.
Yeah, I loved having you on, and I'll also provide your link to your website on my Facebook page because I do that for all of my guests as well. So if anybody's on my page and they want to go check you out, they can do it that way too. So, but yeah, it was really great to have you on and talk about all of these wonderful things, and I'm so glad that you were able to do this tonight and give all these great tips and stuff out there, and hopefully more people will be looking you up and getting you to consult with them if they are having some behavior problems, and maybe you can help them like you did with BB and Maggie.
Absolutely. I am here for anyone who needs it. So I really appreciate it, Lori. Thank you again.
Yeah, and thank you for being on tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and announce my next upcoming podcast and what's going on. You are welcome to stay on if you want, but you can also jump off it, and we will say goodnight to you. And I know it gets a little bit, later, depending on time zones and things like that, and people have things to do. So whichever you prefer to do.
All right. Take care, Lori. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jennifer. You have a good night.
Me too.
All right. Bye. Okay, everybody. So Jennifer just got off the phone with me. It was awesome having her on tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion and learning more about cats and some of the behaviors and some of the things you can kind of do to, help correct them. If not, get a hold of Jennifer. She might be able to help you out with some of these things. So with that being said, I just want to let you guys know what's going to be coming up and what's going on for the holidays. Oh, excuse me. So on December 18th, I am actually going to have Lauren Anders Brown on with me, and she is going to be talking about her app and called Pads Pass. Sorry about that. Pads Pass is kind of cool. If you guys are traveling and you have to take your dogs, cats, whatever with you this app that Lauren came up with will help you guys, because there's so many different rules and regulations, especially if you're going to other countries, and Hawaii is another big one. There's things you have to know ahead of time, before you can travel there. Like you have to have your animals like vaccinated, months in advance of traveling to some of these places. Like Hawaii is one of them in the States, because of the fact they don't really have rabies over there. They haven't, because island kind of secluded thing. So they have some very strict regulations in place for when you're going to be going there and taking your pets with you. So Lauren actually, unfortunately, had an incident with her dog when she was traveling. She thought she had done everything correctly, and I think it was the UK she went to, and her dog actually ended up getting confiscated from her for at least 24 hours. So because this happened to her, she didn't want it to happen to other people, and so she kind of got a little tech savvy and came up with this app called Pads Pass. So I'll be talking with her on December 18th, and she's going to give us all sorts of more information about this app and how you guys can use it and what all it does and why she developed it. So I think that's really cool, because there's so many people out there that, like I said, don't really understand about traveling with their pets and what's required, vaccination-wise, or if they have to be quarantined for a certain amount of time in another country due to their regulations, things like that. So this little app will help you guys, and it's a good place to keep like all of your different documents, like your shot records and things like that. So I'm looking forward to talking with Lauren about this app, because I think a lot of people need to know about it, and hopefully it will help you guys that travel with your pets. And then after that, I'm actually going to be off for a couple weeks because of the holidays. We have Christmas and New Year's Day coming up, so I won't be doing a podcast, which would have been actually on the 1st, because that's New Year's Day, so I won't be back on then. But I will be back on January 8th, and I am then going to have Arthur von Weisenberger on with me. He is the executive director and host of Animal Zone, and so he's going to be on and talking about that stuff, Animal Zone and things like that, and about all the different things that he's done and directed and been involved with, a lot of different projects that Arthur's been involved with, and I'm looking forward to talking with him and finding out more about all the different really cool things that he's done. So anyway, that's the next couple podcasts coming up. We're going to have Lauren Anders Brown with Pads Pass, and then Arthur von Weisenberger on January 8th. So don't forget to come on back on the 18th, though, to listen to the podcast then, especially those you guys that travel with your pets, so you can get more information and maybe look into getting this app and helping you guys out with your travel. So looking forward to it. So I hope you guys stay safe out there. Don't get into too much trouble over the weekend. Oh, and I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, since we just went through that holiday. I had a good one. I know I ate way too much. Probably a lot of us did. But yeah, so anyway, all right. I hope you guys will be back in a couple weeks to listen to the next podcast. And until then, have a good one. Bye.